Time and Space Podcast Nation. What's up, everyone? I'm Francis Donald. That's Jordan Hirsch. We've got segment Sean Tandy, Wheezy F. Wayne. We're really excited to be back here with episode 4, what we think is episode 4 of season 2 of the podcast. Really excited. We say that every time. We're always really excited. We have interesting people on, we think, at least. But so grateful to spend time today with Brian Simpkins, who is a writer and one of the members of Blaxers Blog, an organization that has been bringing Black and brown lacrosse, women's and men's, to the forefront through articles in their collaboration with US Lacrosse Magazine, as well as some beautiful Instagram imagery. So we are really lucky to have him on today and have him tell us a little bit about himself, as well, what the mission, the vision is for Blaxers Blog, and what Brian feels is the future of the involvement of Black players in the game of lacrosse.
Yeah, Brian actually gave us a really nice shout out in US Lacrosse Magazine in an article that he wrote about Eddie Coombs. When we had Michael Sowers on, Michael had mentioned that Eddie was someone he really modeled his game after and looked up to as a young player. So we reached out to Brian after we saw that he had noted it in his article and made the connection. And he's just a really positive and fun guy with a really important and purposeful mission. So we were really happy to have him on. We talked about a lot of things with Brian, and we got into some of the teams that he follows and some of the people he really looked up to growing up in lacrosse. But he's from Maryland. He's proudly from Maryland, and he brought that into his time with us. And we talked a little bit about what was going on in lacrosse now. And I was wondering, Francis, how much lacrosse you watched this week and what you enjoyed about it.
I think, as a Division III guy, we are Division III guys. You got to talk about these D3, D1 matchups that happen with some of our Ivy League schools. So we had Cabrini faced off against Penn, and then we had down in Philadelphia, and then we had Dartmouth and Tufts that got together. For any D3 player, this is a really special moment. In the Division III, I'm going to say it, we've got a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. And, there's people play Division III lacrosse for a lot of reasons. And there's certainly a case to be made that some, at least, Division III programs can compete at the Division I level, and maybe do very well, certainly be competitive. And so this was just a great statement. We sort of saw both extremes, right? Tufts beat Dartmouth in this game, in this scrimmage opportunity, and then Penn took it to Cabrini, which is probably something that you would more expect, especially with the trajectory that Penn's program has been on for the last few years. But it's just great to see these games played. Team scrimmage, sometimes I think Virginia scrimmage Lynchburg earlier in the year, and that's something that's happened quite a bit. And when we were at Nazareth, we would scrimmage some Division I teams, and it's just always a great opportunity to represent the division and have some extra pride in competition.
It was just fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I didn't get a chance to see the Cabrini Penn game. I did watch the Tufts Dartmouth game. And here's one thing I would say about this. Shout out to all 4 of those teams for wanting to take advantage of an interesting opportunity. Who knows if it'll happen again? Hopefully, if it does happen again, it's not for the reasons it's happening. but because of just the way this season is playing out, it's providing opportunity for teams that may not usually have the opportunity to play each other. So shout out to all those coaches who made that happen and kind of pivoted to play these games. And shout out to Dartmouth and Penn. It was both their first games of the season. So amazing for those coaching staffs to give their players the opportunity, regardless of the opponent. And what I did notice of the Dartmouth team was how excited they were to play. They were playing with a lot of gratitude. They were playing with energy, with passion. And you got to remember, for some of these guys, they have not played a game in 2 years. They have not played a lacrosse game in 2 years. And I know that's something I've thought a lot about in my own coaching endeavors at Hendrick Hudson. And it's just great for people to be out doing what they love to do. And I think that's the theme of the season for me, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. And those Ivy League guys who have not been able to compete this year, what a terrible situation to be in.
It's a shame. It's a real shame. It's, I think as coaches, sometimes we say to young people, life's not fair. It's not going to give you what you want. This is one of those situations where it's kind of like, is it not fair like this? Like, this is just, you're just taking it right out of these kids' hands, and it's a real shame. And I hope that it gets rectified in one way or another in the future, because it's really too bad. But looking ahead to some other more positive things of this season, it's almost conference playoff time. Woo! And I am very excited about that. I know at the Division III level, some of the conference championships are going to be starting, I think, next week. Obviously, we're pulling for our home teams, no doubt. We are a fair pod, but a biased pod, and we are biased to our teams, and we don't cross hairs about that in any way. I'm super excited for the Division I conference tournaments. I know that there's other conferences out there, but I'm really excited about the ACC. I don't know how many teams are in it, but they're like a 5-team AQ. I just feel like they get all the at-large bids. I don't see how it works a different way. And
so do you kind of wish that there weren't those ACC teams, ACT? Nope. You kind of wish that some of those teams were in different conferences?
No, I don't. I don't. I want to watch them play every Thursday night. It's been the best. It's been unbelievable.
The Thursday night viewing has been pretty awesome.
I don't know what's better, Thursday night ACC lacrosse or Thursday night lacrosse Twitter about ACC lacrosse. It's been incredible. I've been more into Twitter than I've been in years, just on Thursday nights, just enjoying the games and reacting to things and kind of deep diving into some of the strategy that I enjoy. But also the skill of some of these players in the ACC right now. It's out of control. It's out of control. Like, somebody stop Deemer Class from teaching these kids how to play like this. Somebody stop this guy. They're too good. It's just so fun to watch.
A game I also want to shout out, though, that I watched on replay was the Army-Navy game. Played over the weekend, and Navy ended up winning that game, which was an upset. I think it was number 16 over number 10. And to see those teams go head to head is always something special. They had fans at Navy Marine Corps Stadium in Annapolis. So the vibe was right. Talk about this perfect blend of skill and physicality. Those guys were taking it to each other. There were probably more hits in that game, and legal hits, right? And right. Flow of the game hits, but it was just guys giving the extra effort to really get into that. And lacrosse is not a hitting game; it's a passing game. But it was great to see the camaraderie, and then at the end, both of their alma maters play.
Yeah.
Both teams stand for it. There is that mutual respect that comes with being a part of armed services here, or armed forces, and being in the service here in our country. And so it was really great to see that sort of pageantry, I guess, if I did pick a quintessenic word, and just to see that sort of competition and normalcy was really fun to watch.
It's just the more the season goes on, the more excited I am about lacrosse. It's one of those things where just when you think you might need a break, you don't. You get fired up again. It's just really enjoyable, and there's nothing better, right, when this playoff time for colleges comes around, and you're kind of in the beginning / middle of your high school season, right? If you're coaching high school or coaching middle school like you are, or just coaching in general, where you can watch games and then see something you like and then try it out in practice. And I'm not going to lie, even when I was coaching college, and I know you were the same way, you'd see something that you liked in a college film and you'd be like, yeah, I'm going to try that too, and that's what's kind of, I think, great about this time of year, where everybody's feeding off of each other in terms of inventing and reinventing some things and trying to be just engulfed in what's going on in lacrosse. So it's an exciting time of year. Weather's finally kicking up in New York. I know that's never a problem for you. But we got it now. So we're excited. And listen, it's a beautiful, beautiful time to be enjoying some lacrosse. So I hope everybody that's listening and watching is doing the same. Speaking of listening and watching, did you know you could find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube all at the same time?
Wow. Do I need multiple headphones in order to listen to that all at the same time?
You could do it all on one headphone. You don't even need headphones. You could just let it play through the speakers. Let everybody around you enjoy it.
Oh my goodness. All right. I'm going to have to do this. I think I'm going to turn my windows down and drive around town and just blast it. Make it knock.
Yeah. Bump the podcast. Why not? Please, if you're enjoying this, like, subscribe, give us a rating. If you hate it, just send us a private message. Don't put that in the rating. We'll fix whatever you don't like.
Also, what is there to hate? So stop.
It's a great point. You heard it here first. You're gonna love what Brian Simpkins had to say. You're gonna love his message. You're gonna love his positivity. We did a snake in the draft with Francis, myself, and Sean about our favorite late night snacks. So we had some fun at the end. Everybody enjoy their lacrosse this week. And we can't wait to continue to bring you some of these stories about life in lacrosse.
Peace.
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Time and Space Podcast, episode 4. Maybe, we think it's episode 4. I'm Jordan Hirsch. That's Francis Donald. We are doing another remote version of the Time and Space Podcast, and we are thrilled to be joined tonight by Brian Simpkins of Blaxers Blog. Brian gave us an awesome shout out in one of his recent pieces on Eddie Coombs, and we formed a connection, and we're happy to have Brian on, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me and allow me to be on your platform. Very honored to be here.
So the first thing we like to do, Brian, is we kind of toss it around, do a little fit check. You definitely have the best outfit of the night, hands down, just repping your school. So I'm going to throw it to you first, which we rarely do. We throw it to the guest first. Tell us a little bit about what you're wearing tonight.
Rocking a custom shirt through my graphic design company, Grizzly Black Designs. We have a Teespring page called College Across Corner. As you can see, we got a vintage bucket helmet. I got a few different schools from all over the nation. Have inspired pieces and some pretty cool stuff. Check it out. And there's also some Tim Bears apparel as well.
Nice.
Love it. And the hat as well. You got the UDC hat on too.
Oh yeah, yep. That's custom made.
Yeah. Francis, coming fresh off the field. What are we going with here?
Fresh off the field. We had practice a little earlier today. Right now, I've just got my coach's polo on. Doubles as my work polo. Nothing too fancy about it. But I've got my my Bishop's fitted hat here. So this is the on the field edition right here. This is the special blackout edition with the gold B. Which is our logo is our mascot's the knight, so I think it's especially knightly to be black and gold. Behind me though, I'm not wearing it, but I could be. I've got two helmets here that I want to shout out. The first one is this Dirty Birds helmet, and really shouting out the Nazareth lacrosse program and the great tradition that we have. This is from Lake Placid, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years ago, maybe 6. The helmet itself was a replica of the 1997 helmets that Nazareth wore in the national championship game. They beat Washington College in that game. Yeah, so I've got that Nazareth version, and then especially topical for tonight, this is the Uganda men's lacrosse helmet from summer 2018, the World Championships. I was an assistant coach for that team, so shout out to all my guys in Kampala and Uganda who were a part of that organization. Such an amazing experience that we had. Jordan, you were there with Israel, so it was great to be able to share that with you. So
watch out for the crank down.
That's right.
So
what do you got?
Yeah, so Francis, because he's on the West Coast, he came right off the field pretty much into the office for the podcast. I had the luxury of picking up my daughter Harper and driving home and getting at least a change of clothes from our practice today. So I'm kind of standard right now with the Lululemon sweatshirt. What's this one called again, Francis? I can't remember. You always tell me. It has like the
At Ease. I think it's
the
called
At Ease. The At Ease. I got that going, and I'm going legend hat again. I just keep going with the legend hat. Maybe next time I'll wear something more lacrosse centric, but I'm the only person not wearing a lacrosse hat tonight. But we're shouting out our guys at Legend, as we always do. Hopefully they'll shout us out at some point. And then behind me, you might have saw last week, I have the Israeli framed jersey from Euros in 2016 with our silver medal. So shout out to all the folks in Israel doing gap year right now and training, getting ready for the next World Championships. And over my left shoulder is a picture of Coach Red Holzman with the New York Knicks. I think it was in the 70s at some point. My dad got that for me after our first basketball win when I started coaching basketball. So that's a special picture for me in our basement. So happy to be sitting in this seat tonight as we record remotely once again.
We got Brian here. We're excited. This is exciting. We've had a really interesting time with this podcast and really reaching out to different types of people that have been involved in lacrosse, that have a life in lacrosse. And so when Brian shouted out our podcast, our first response was, we got to have him on. And Blaxers Blog is and I'm going to let you explain it, Brian, but has been a very instrumental piece in lacrosse media for quite some time now. And I'd love for you to Give us a little bit of background on yourself, but also, the genesis of how this all came together.
Well, just first about myself, hailing from Fort Washington, Maryland, from Prince George's County, Maryland, one of the pioneers from for lacrosse, high school lacrosse down here. The first from Friendly High School to ever make it to the college level. And like I said, just had to give a shout out. We were the last Maryland county to adopt lacrosse as a varsity sport, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, even though University of Maryland's not county, we were the last ones to get the sport, but we have a pipeline and a hotbed in the making. So y'all better watch out. We got
Put them on notice. Put them on notice.
Yeah. But in terms of Blaxers Blog, I've been at this off and on for a few years now. After I left school, my freshman year at UDC, I was trying to get back into the sport after I left, and basically I was seeing how the blog was basically shouting out so many different people from different areas who looked like me, and I wasn't used to seeing that. So I was like, all right, well, let me show some love. And I just so happened to do a few articles on HBCU lacrosse, the history of it, for HBCU Game Day, and I got approached by the CEO and owner of Blaxers Blog to hop on board, and I said, why not? And it was kind of crazy. At the time, I was working at the now defunct Model Sporting Goods.
Oh yeah.
My Pentagon, and I would run into a few lacrosse heads, and it was really crazy. Even beforehand, working at Ronald Reagan National Airport, I would run to my old volunteer assistant coach, Stephen Brooks.
Okay.
Stephen Brooks and Pat Young and all types of local teams that's coming in and out of the airport checking their bags and stuff. And like I said, just trying to learn as much as I can about different histories and being able to elaborate that to the most common person. It's a really cool experience, and I thought, well, I need to put this on paper. You can't keep knowledge to yourself. It's great to pass it on, and someone else may feel inspired by saying information. So that's kind of what we do at the blog. We tell not just stories that other people may not know about, but we want to make sure that you're feeling connected to it. Kind of like the Eddie Coombs piece, which I was very emotional about because I never met the guy before, and his legacy is like one of the most revered that I know of. Him and Michael Crawford from Hampton University, and it's being able to let the readers feel the full range of emotions. That's how you've made great writing, and that's what I continue to aspire to do as I'm continue through our partnership with US Lacrosse Magazine. Shouts out to USLM, and just being able to represent the way that we do, and being an inspiration to the community. It's an honor. It's truly an honor. I never thought I would be in this position a year ago. What I was going crazy.
Now, how many people are involved in Blaxers Blog from the, obviously the writing side, there's the writing side, but there's also the social media side, and there's a lot of content that's being pushed out there.
We have a small team. I do the writing, and obviously we have Mark Ellis and Benson. They help with some of our Let's Talk About It. Shouts out to both of them, and Let's Talk About It. And then also Wes Jackson, who also heads Let's Talk About It. And like I said, we try to promote the ins and outs of minority related lacrosse as much as we can, because there's a lot of undiscovered talent that's out there. And like I said, we want to make sure that we are championing everybody that's out there and giving everyone their flowers.
Love that. Love that. And thank you for taking that responsibility on.
When you're writing, do you feel like you become more connected to this purpose?
I exactly do. Like I said, it's an honor to be able to, help other people on our platform get the visibility that normally they wouldn't get.
Oh, absolutely. And it's for me, and Jordan and I were talking about this. It's been a really great experience to have this much lacrosse media in different ways. And when we were in college or in high school, it was US Lacrosse Magazine and it was Inside Lacrosse, right? And that was pretty much it. And then Memorial Day weekend. And that was your lacrosse consumption. But now it's every day. I'm a big Instagram guy, and it's in my feed every single day. And so I can only imagine that where I was somewhat disconnected from the sport, being a young Black player from Texas, from Dallas, now being able to see other people all over the country that look like me, that are playing this game at a high level, it must be super empowering. Do you ever hear that side of it from people that follow writing? What's the vibe that you're getting back from people?
Gratefulness, honor. Those are two values that I really want to make sure that I'm encompassing, not only with our writing, but just the way that we present ourselves. And something that, I talk a lot about is making sure people get their flowers while they're still here. And like I said, there's a lot of legends that have came through the sport and has paid their dues and has not gotten the credit that they deserve. And we're just one by one, piece by piece, trying to, highlight and illuminate these stories and these unique figures that has a huge impact in our sport.
Absolutely.
Do you have a piece that's really close to your heart? Some maybe like a favorite thing that you've written, or a favorite person that you covered that just stands out a little bit differently than the rest?
I very obviously the Chuck Sherwood story. It's been some years in the making, to be quite frank. And like I said, Mr. Sherwood, he's impacted a lot of people from Long Island and beyond. And like I said, just seeing how Duke is operating as a team right now, having two of the top 3 picks in the PLL draft, and him laying down that foundation in the 70s, breaking an all-time saves record, 28 saves in the game. That was really huge. And like I said, he's somebody that I revere a whole lot. And when I got the opportunity to interview him, we wanted to make sure that we truly did his story a justice.
Can you give us a little, for those who will be listening and don't know who Chuck is, can you give us a little background?
So, Mr. Chuck Sherwood, Charles Sherwood, he was the first African-American lacrosse player at Duke University. He technically is the second Black ACC lacrosse player of going back. There was someone before him, I believe, at the University of Maryland. Forgot the gentleman's name, pardon me, but Chuck Sherwood, he was a goaltender, a dynamite goaltender from Hempstead, New York, representing the Hempstead High School Tigers, and being part of one of the earliest Black lacrosse pipelines in the nation. Coming to Duke and having to beat out 2-3 guys for the starting position was very, very hard in the 1970s. And he went to go set like I said, a few goaltending records, most notably, um, 28 saves in one game in 19 in the mid 70s. That record wasn't broken until the 90s and 2000. So just to be able to see dynamite goaltending from an OG like that, it's very notable. And he kind of had an impact afterwards, helping the youth in Long Island and Hempstead. And one of his youth lacrosse proteges ends up becoming Method Man. So it's crazy. It's really crazy, but it's a really cool story. And his two sons, Devin and Trey, they carry on legacy. Devin, he played at Duke, played goaltender like his father, and Trey played goaltender, I want to say, at Western Connecticut, if I remember correctly. And it was a really cool thing, just being able to interview him and talk about um, how they used to play back in the day, and the type of intensity and rivalries that they had. Duke, Carolina, and uh, losing to a Washington college and bouncing back to other programs in the region. It was really, really cool to talk about.
Oh, that's it. That's amazing. And the storytelling that you're doing is, I mean, these are stories that aren't typically told, aren't typically known. And so we appreciate you doing the hard work to uncover that. There are, for players, for young Black players, for young players of color, there are people that they can look up to that look like them, that go beyond our current stars. There certainly has been, since we were in college, definitely some people, and Kyle Harrison, namely, going back to the early 2000s, people to look up to, but now realizing that there is a history here, that we can all be proud of, it's wonderful to learn.
What we were talking about offline, Brian, was that, we feel that you're so positive. There's so many positive messages and positive stories that you're sharing. And do you feel like that's something that's intentional, that you're really trying to share all of those positive things, when we all know that a lot of the stories that are coming out, especially recently, are not so positive about race and sport?
It's very intentional, very, very intentional. And like I referenced before, I guess I'll put this as my second most impactful piece, was the Indigenous solidarity piece, about the Haudenosaunee. And a lot of people don't know, I am a Seminole freedman from the Seminole Nation of Oklahoma. And just seeing how the Haudenosaunee was originally excluded, and then everyone came together to back them, to get them to Birmingham, the World Games. It was a very beautiful thing. And we really, really champion making sure that we support those who feel like they're being left out in the sport. And like I said, that positivity is infectious. That's something that I've learned over the years. You don't know what words that you put out there can affect someone for life. So you make the best of it, and you strive to make an impact.
Yeah, I mean, the imagery, I think, is what's so important and so impactful too. The one thing that I've gotten into out here in California is surfing, and I've met some really, really creative people that are bringing people of color into surf imagery, and just sort of reframing how we all see it and all think of it. And it's not just white, it's not just blonde, and this and that, and sort of all those stereotypes. And so when I flip through your feed, or it comes across, and I'm seeing women men of color representing different religions. The young lady from the University of Rochester, and just seeing that sort of imagery, just it opens up, it cracks open the game of lacrosse so wide that I just want everybody to see these pictures, because I think we'll all start to think about it in a different way, and you create access through imagery, I think. I mean, as a group, as an organization with Blaxers Blog, I mean, is that one of the missions of this? Is that a facet of the mission to create this new access point?
Oh, most definitely. And in terms of imagery, I do a lot of studying, even through like NFL films, how they narrate all of their media. Those are things that we take into account, and we have to put the seasoning on it. The saison, so to speak. And like I said, that soul and flavor is something that it speaks for itself, and we want to pass on for everybody else, because it's a learning process, and we want to cherish as many of us together as possible. I truly do feel like unity is one of the biggest factors to combat, the ills in and outside the sport. So why not learn more about each other in order to be united with each other?
Yeah, we had a great guest on a couple weeks ago, who is what's Dan's title at?
He is, I guess, the founder of Bronx Lacrosse, probably be a good way to. Yeah.
Just telling the story of the access point that they have been able to create and maintain in the Bronx, and bringing on these students and having one of them go to college, and having that be such a big catalyst for buy-in for the rest of those kids. And I just think that you all are, for kids that are paying attention, for people that are paying attention, you're going to be in a conversation of people that have really affected our game in a positive way.
And one of the things that I go out of my way to do is try to leave certain words of wisdom and things to guide yourself on as a young player coming through the ranks, whether you're a player of color or not. A lot of kids, they want to go to college and pursue an education, and just talking about the academic and the rigor pieces of these experiences is very important. Like I said, you don't have to go to a big name school. You can go to a smaller school and tear it up and have a really great experience. But we really want to make sure that our kids are academically sound, because there are so many more opportunities, especially in lacrosse, if you have the grades. Trust me, I know this firsthand.
Well, and you highlight kids from different divisions too, on the college side, and that's always something that we as coaches talk about, and trying to expand the view of college lacrosse past Division I, of what US Lacrosse calls like the top 11 or elite 11 or whatever it is. Without the Ivy Leagues, there's 11 schools that are sort of head and shoulders above everybody else. And then we see Tufts do what they did to Dartmouth over the weekend. And so I love that you're highlighting, I think I've seen some NAIA, I've seen some Division I, Division II, Division III. And I think that's important to show the full breadth of opportunity.
And speaking of NAIA, we're putting out a very special piece tomorrow on the 29th. Keep your eyes peeled on US Lacrosse Magazine.
Okay.
Really, really dope piece involving one of the invitational tournament teams. So just keep an eye out.
I have a question for you about, you live in a kind of a hotbed really of lacrosse. and going from your exposure of so many divisions, who were some of the guys and girls maybe you watched growing up that you really idolized?
Man, well, first and foremost, I tell people this all the time. My first exposure to lacrosse as a kid was watching old MLL games, and of course, our former local team, the Chesapeake Bayhawks. Back then, there was Washington and Baltimore Bayhawks. They had a guy by the name of Chaz Woodson, high flying around the field. So.
Awesome.
Chaz was my first exposure to the sport. He's still one of my favorite players out there. Obviously, Kyle Harrison, John Christmas, so on and so forth. There's so many guys out there that I admire so much. And like I said, they paved the way for us. But if I have to be completely blunt, I'll even go further back, guys that didn't even make the pros. Shouts out to the Tim Bears of Morgan State University for laying down the foundation for us to follow at UDC. Seeing the Black Slacks organization in Baltimore, if that organization didn't exist, I probably would not be influenced to come to the sport, even though I'm not from Baltimore. I'm from Prince George's County, Maryland. The outreach that they do is way beyond Charm City. And I just want to give them a huge shout out to Coach Burke and Coach Carter, Donnie Brown and all the rest of the crew. They do an outstanding job up there getting those kids into college, off the streets, really preparing them for life. And like I said, that's kind of who I was really inspired by growing up. And I also got to give a shout out to the HBCU club programs. Hampton, I started following them when they were NCLL team back in the club days. Morehouse College and Howard University, and even the homies down at FAMU. Our three women's programs at Dell State, Howard, and UDC, they've all had an impact on me, and I converted from playing baseball to lacrosse because I went to the inaugural Hampton Lacrosse Day event in 2011, and those guys treated me like family. Half these guys didn't know who I was, and it made a really huge impact on me. So I made it my mission, the same type of mentorship that those guys gave me. I want to do that for other people.
Yeah, absolutely. And we feel you on the Chaz Woodson love there. We had an opportunity to work with Chaz at a camp, Players Choice Lacrosse Camp. For anybody who's listening who remembers that. Got a chance to work with Chaz and such a great human as well. Very as D3 kids working working at a camp with a lot of Division I and pro guys. He was always very kind to us, and I know that he's been involved with the Nation United program. Which I know through a couple of players that I've coached in the past, one being Isaiah Dawson, who's now at Harvard. But yeah, I feel you. We've talked about this before. One of my biggest influences in lacrosse is Damian Davis from Princeton. Yeah. And so he goes right up there. We had a Brian Silcott at Nazareth, who was a legend at Nazareth College, where Jordan and I both went to school. And now he is working with the PLL as the director of player experience, I think that is.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a ton of pride out there. How did the US Lacrosse Magazine, how did that collaboration come into play, and how did it get set up?
Like I said, it kind of came about after we had we try to put out a smaller article via Instagram about the Haudenosaunee exclusion and why indigenous solidarity is a very key part, not only inside lacrosse and outside of lacrosse. And we had kind of start exchanging emails and text messages and seeing how can we bring an article like that to the forefront, and just being innovative like that, because it was kind of like a breath of fresh air, so to speak, for on the writing tip. And like I said, I tip my hat off to everybody at USLM for giving us a chance to have this platform. And we started, I believe, late September with the Mark Ellis piece, right after the MLO bubble, and sky's the limit from there. I mean, we're almost at 30 some odd articles in our partnership, and I'm looking forward to do many, many more.
I was going to ask, where do you see this going or growing in the coming years, especially after, we'll kind of jokingly talk about with our podcast, like, man, we're going to be such a great post-COVID show. Where do you see your platform going and growing after kind of COVID takes a backseat?
Honestly, just more visibility, trying to reach more audiences that aren't savvy with lacrosse, and just trying to get those crossover type of viewers. And like I said, it's a very unique deal that there's a lot of kids who come into the sport that play other sports and come from other cultures, and we try to merge those together. Like for instance, shouts out to Nakai Montgomery over at Duke. His mom and dad, they were student athletes at Texas Southern University, and lacrosse in Dallas has grown a very, very long way. And to see the Bridge program go out there and do the things they do. Shouts out to the girls lacrosse team who's playing their championship. Being able to merge those type of communities together, it's very unique, and we try and make it organic as possible.
It's great.
Oh, absolutely. And I really appreciate, we both do, we were talking about it earlier, the focus on men's and women's lacrosse. And I've learned so much more about representation of female players of color through your channels. Women who I didn't even know were playing at such a high level. And we joke about it. Jordan has a daughter, and I have a child on the way. And so we're sort of branching out and learning as much as we can about women's lacrosse and watching more women's lacrosse. And so my awareness is just heightened in general, but you all have done a great job of promoting that gender equity as well.
There's actually a story as to why there's so many women's pieces, aside from supporting women's sports wholly. In my process of getting to lacrosse in Prince George's County, when we didn't have it as a varsity sport, I played in the club era. A very good friend of mine, the late Chris Tiffany Glenn from Delaware State University, mentored me into trying to join to play lacrosse. And she was a founding member of Del State's program, and she had graduated and came back home to Gwen Park High School in Brandywine, Maryland, to coach their first ever girls lacrosse team. And she tragically lost her life in a car accident, in a motorcycle accident on 95 some years back ago. And she always talked to me about being able to give back, to the kids that we wanted to have a better opportunity than what we had. And she didn't even play in high school. She didn't play lacrosse until she got to college. So like I said, I made it my mission to do as many women's pizzas as possible. Not only out of the memory of her, but in the memory of my grandmother, who was a hidden figure, believe it or not, from the movie. And when one of the reasons why I transferred out of UBC my freshman year was because I had lost my grandmother, and getting back to lacrosse was a really hard thing to do. But I knew that being able to promote the sport in both of their memories, it was very imperative to do. So, like I said, the future is female, and like I said, even when they tell you that you can't do things, go ahead and do it anyways.
Yeah, take up space, right? Take up space. Where do you see the sport of lacrosse in, I don't know, 10 years as it relates to Black and brown players? What are you seeing right now? What's your prediction of what it's going to look like as far as representation?
To be quite blunt, we are going to see an explosion within the next, I say, 6 to 10 years. And I look at a lot of things based off of certain pipelines. Of course, you got your Long Island and Baltimore's, but Florida, Texas, California, your Chicago's of the world, your St. Louis's of the world. There's a lot of smaller youth organizations who are putting in a lot of great work. Oh, and down in the Carolinas too. And these kids, they're matriculating through the ranks, and then once they get ready to go to college, you have an unlimited pool of kids that's ready to tear it up academically and athletically. So the seeds are already planted. It's just a matter of when things are going to be harvested.
Absolutely. I know that we have been lucky at Nazareth to have a couple of young men from the Harlem lacrosse family that have joined. And just plugging them in case you want to do a story about Nazareth lacrosse someday.
I am a huge fan of Nazareth's uniforms. Love the golden flower uniforms. Those LSU stripes are legendary.
I'm gonna go ahead and take credit for those LSU stripes, by the way. I mean, Coach Randall, hopefully he would back me up, but one of the great joys of being an assistant coach, I think, is getting to design uniforms.
And that's something that I've actually I've specialized over the years about, and like I said, just trying to bridge that into the lacrosse sphere. You're going to see a whole lot more of that very soon. But that's a whole different cultural thing. Just the joy of wearing some of your best fits and winning in those fits.
Absolutely.
We can go on for days.
Yeah.
Whole mesh jerseys and things of that nature.
Absolutely.
Could you just so we don't go on for days, maybe we could go on for a minute. Give us your top three uniforms across any division. So the 3 uniforms you think are they're the right ones right now.
Can I go after?
You can go after, sure.
I will definitely. First and foremost, I gotta tip my head off to Washington College with the poor mesh holes. They've been holding down for the longest,
right?
With the tradition. And then I guess I'll I gotta give Syracuse a nod as well, bringing in the royal blue. With the faux backs, they're not true throwbacks; they're faux backs. They're faux backs, and I guess in terms of combinations, tip my hat off to the Terps. They for many different looks. Still waiting for the gold jerseys to come back out, but
Right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
digress.
Yep.
Yeah, those are some of my favorites.
What I really love about that is that you're bringing the Maryland into the show. We
Yeah.
tend to drift to New York just because of
Yep.
our affiliation. So we appreciate that for sure.
All right, Francis, you're on.
Oh my goodness. Now I'm on the spot.
You can't say any of the ones that he said.
Right. You know, the Tufts uniforms, I've been a big fan of for a while. Not necessarily because they're the best, but I feel like they take risks at Tufts with their uniforms. You know, it started in the national championship game with the American flag, and
Mhm.
you know, they really embrace brown, the color brown in their uniform. So shout out to Tufts with always keeping it as fresh as possible, with kind of an awkward color scheme, not gonna lie.
Yes.
Um,
I was just talking about that, how you have to be some type of way to wear a fully brown and light blue uniform. You gotta have it together to rock that.
definitely. You know, the Hopkins is somebody, and I don't know if it's just the color combination that really gets me. You know, I've always been a big fan of any look that Hopkins puts together. It just feels fresh. I don't know what it is. And I'm actually going to shout out Rutgers because when Adidas uniforms first came out, you know, we were all holding our noses, I think. And Rutgers found a way to make those Adidas uniform look pretty swaggy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
it. You
Yep.
know, and they've got a couple different helmets that they're going with now. I mean, Rutgers has really sort of stepped their game up. And, you know, for those of you listening and you're like, you're just talking about uniforms, why does it matter? Well, it matters, right? I mean, players want to look good, and they want to feel good, and they want to play well. And, you know, I think lacrosse has really started to take on a little bit of that sort of basketball mentality of, you know, you gotta look the part. And so Rutgers just stepped their game up. Also, fourth 1,000 throwbacks. I'm all about it.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't know that I'm gonna go with the top three. Obviously, I'm partial to Nazareth, which Brian already mentioned. I've always loved purple and gold for various reasons, and I always felt like we had a leg up on fashion. I think at our program that we played at. I want to shout out Lynchburg as well. Another kind of a homer pick for me. They've really branched out. Coach Kadelka has totally branched out. He's gotten throwbacks. He's gotten some newer things. He mixes and matches the combos much different than when I coached there. It was all one color, and we kind of went with it. So I thought I really like those. Here's what I really want to say though. I think back to when we played and how we had the really, really baggy shorts. So baggy, and how much that's changed. And we've talked about this in a past episode, Brian. Like Francis and I really we love the Fab Five style. So we wanted to wear black socks. We wanted really baggy shorts. It kind of worked out that we had gold, which kind of looked like Michigan's yellow. We just were copying them essentially at that point. And who wouldn't? I mean, that's a great thing to copy. Now, what I think back to is like, I'm 5'7.5", and with those baggy shorts, I looked about 5'3". So I kind of looking back, I wish that it was more in vogue to have the kind of above the knee look, the 7-inch inseam, if you will. So I just want to mention that because I do think it's worth mentioning how style has changed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And kids roll their short shorts now.
Oh yeah.
Right? They roll them to get them even shorter, which is awesome. Good for them.
Thanks, LeBron.
Yeah.
Where I want to make sure that people know where they can find you. You know, where's we want to see your work. Where do we go?
So like I said, for the articles, you want to go to uslacrosse.com. You can just type in Blaxers Blog. We actually have our own tab. Have our own
Oh,
tab on
okay.
our website. So, just click it and unroll. Everything is there.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
I need to do some backfill. I'm going to be honest. I need to do some
Yeah.
back reading on some of your work. And I know the big one that you did on the most influential figures in Black lacrosse history that you did in February was a great article. Just to see, it was just great to see all those names in one list, right?
It was a painstaking process for the record.
Yeah.
Process. There was a lot of people that we had to consider, and we wanted to put as many people on there as possible.
Yeah. If
But
you haven't read that, if you're listening to this, you haven't read it. The most influential figures in Black lacrosse history, whether somebody was missed or not, it's a great article.
Yeah.
Go check it out. Is Billy Day on that list? Yeah, he is. He's on it.
That and the all Black lacrosse team, men's and women's. Like I said, we're looking to do some more features with some folks that still had some influence that didn't necessarily make that list. And like I said, one of them's coming very, very soon. So like I said, y'all keep an eye out.
Yeah, we will. We definitely will. And I hope that hopefully this will obviously come out probably after whenever that drops, but hopefully anyone who misses it soon, they'll get it on the back end. And if you are listening to this or watching this right now, please make sure you take a look at some of Brian's work and what they're doing with Blaxers Blog, because it is worth every second of the read. It's just really powerful and inspiring stuff. And Brian, again, we are so thankful to spend this time with you, and we can't wait to collaborate with you again.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And if I had to give out one more shout out,
yeah, please, yeah, shout
out to some of our local friends over at Winners Lacrosse DC. Like I said, UDC, we have a very unique partnership with them and helping the youth in Washington DC, DC born, and we want to see more of our DC public schools get support. Also to Prince George's Pride and the Prince George's Youth Lacrosse League, and yeah, I like I said, I'm very honored to be here on this platform and representing just a whole lot of people in the HBCU lacrosse period, because a lot of people don't know about our history, and people just better be on the watch out, because we want the cup. We want the cup. Just be on the lookout. It'll be a few years, but it's some stuff brewing.
Well, and people talk about the growth of the sport, right? And wanting to grow the game. And one of the ways to do that is intentionally bringing it to communities that don't have it. And that's not just regional. That is these young Black and brown players who are likely playing something else, right? Put a stick in their hands. Take the time to teach them how to throw and catch. Take the time to teach them how to pick up a ground ball, and then we'll see the growth of the game.
Absolutely. So again, great spending this time with you, Brian, and we'll all be on the lookout for more pieces, and we're ready for it for sure.
Thanks, Brian.
Anytime. Go Firebirds.
Yeah.
All right, guys, welcome back for yet another Snake in the Draft. Awesome hearing from Brian. We're gonna get into it a little bit. It's something I've been thinking about for the past week. I was talking with a few friends about just kind of getting a little brainstorming going on, but I want to hear from you guys, really quick. This is gonna be the topic: late night snacks, right? Late night eats.
Ooh.
Francis doesn't do that anymore.
One of my favorite games.
But he did it one time. I've done it with Francis before. But I wanted to hear from you guys. This is going to be the order. Jordan, you're going to go first. Francis, I'll go third. Back to back. And we'll go through it like that. Jordan Hirsch, the floor is yours. What's your favorite late night snack?
First, I want to say, and I want to make this very clear, I often like to late night snack with like a full meal. So I'm just gonna say that, but then I'll do what like is really intention. Um, I'm gonna say favorite late night snack off the board, first choice, popcorn. That's it's a fastball. It's your go-to pitch. If it's in there and your microwave's not too loud, you go popcorn. You don't want to wake anybody up with the popping.
Oh,
I feel like that's like a movie. That's a fastball. That's like a changeup, Jordy. That's like
think
coming
so?
over the plate. Like,
All right, I
out
got
of all
you
the
guys
snacks.
are
No. I respect you no matter what. You're a good guy.
he's a good
Popcorn.
guy.
you guys
Yeah.
were giving me the look like that was that was like a boring pick. I thought it was fine.
Butter
I mean,
popcorn is good.
Butter popcorn is good.
All right, cool. I like it. I'm not hating too hard.
What did you want me to say? What I really would like was just like chicken parmesan. Like, is that what you
Well,
wanted to say?
that's a great late night snack. I guess you could consider it a full meal, but that's a good snack. No, we'll do popcorn. Popcorn is good. I didn't let you do chicken parm. Chicken parm is very good though. Francis, over to you.
what time
Popcorn off the board.
constitutes a late night snack?
Late, midnight, and after.
I haven't seen midnight in a long time.
That's what I said. That's what I said. He doesn't do this anymore.
All right, I don't know, 9:30 after dinner. I don't know.
Oh.
You guys are so old.
Oh,
Damn.
9:30.
Should I change the topic?
You know,
Good late night eats.
I mean, pizza is just
That's
like,
a good. Yeah, that's a good one. I should have said pizza. That's a good one.
you know, the Bagel Bites said it, right? They said pizza in the morning,
Yep.
pizza in the evening,
Mhm.
pizza at supper time.
And at late night snack too.
Regardless of whether or not pizza's on a bagel, I can eat pizza every time.
It's good stuff.
Can you shout out a pizza place for us real quick?
I mean, if I'm here in San Diego, I'm shouting out my guys at Buongiorno's right around
All
the
right,
corner.
there you go. Shout out to Buongiorno's. Sounds very traditional Italian.
Does it count as a New York pizzeria if it says
No.
New York pizzeria?
No, absolutely not. Next
Didn't you
question.
take me there,
Experience.
Francis? Didn't we go there?
I think we taught. No, we didn't go there. We went to
Okay.
Mr. Moto's, which is also
Mm.
very good. Just not walkable anymore from my new place.
I'm absolutely disgusted that you didn't say Paradise.
Well, I haven't had Paradise in years.
Mm.
Years.
Good stuff.
A year. They're great. Where Jordan and Sean are from, they're great pizza places. Like 3 of them within like you can throw a rock from each of them to the other.
Paradise,
Stone's
Avellino's.
throw? Is it a stone's throw away?
Stone's throw.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, Shawnee.
Yeah, pizza.
Not bad. I like those both. All right. My number one. And again, like I'm not a huge sweet tooth guy. But I love ice cream. Huge ice cream fan. If I can get my hands on some Ben and Jerry's ice cream,
Yeah.
some Cherry Garcia or, Funky Monkey, whatever, definitely doing that. Very, very good. There's another great spot near us that your dad loves, Jordan. What is it? Blue Pig, right?
Blue Pig.
In Croton. Excellent ice cream. Number 2, we're going junk food. I'm gonna get some taquitos. Taquitos in the oven. Put those at 450. Don't fall asleep. Leave the oven on. Burn the house down. But you're gonna want to remember they're in the oven, right? Once you get those out, it's always a tricky, slippery slope, right? Like you take your first bite and you burn the roof of your mouth off, no matter what.
You got to breathe through the first bite.
You have to do it though.
You got to breathe. You got through the first bite.
You have it in your mouth and you do we like blow out all the fire.
It's always a struggle, but taquitos, very underrated. Haven't had them in a while. Really, really good. Really good stuff. Francis, back to you, sir.
So I'm going to kick it back a couple of years. I'm going to go SpaghettiOs with meatballs. And then I'm not eating them with a spoon though. I'm scooping them with baked Lay's sour cream and onion chips.
Damn.
That's a mic drop.
That's a mic drop. There you go.
That was the meal back in the day for me.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Jordy, little tech difficulties. What's your
come back.
There
Sorry
you go.
about that.
You can't
You're good. What is your
technical difficulties?
You're good, sir. What's your second choice?
I wanna get confirmation on this, if this would be legal, because we already had pizza as a choice. And that really got my mind going.
As it typically does.
Pizza does, yes. Pizza rolls would be a great late night snack. I think it's different than pizza. I think it's got a different vibe to it. You know, it was inspired obviously by the pizza pick, but also the burn the roof of your mouth comment, because it's got all those things together.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna say pizza rolls. Would I do popcorn and pizza rolls together? Yeah, maybe I would. If I was feeling that, I would do it.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, if you're ready to party. What do you watch along with popcorn and pizza though? What do you watch?
Well, if it's 9:30 at night, I'm probably scrolling through to see like what late NBA game is on. If it's midnight, I'm probably watching like Late Night with Scott Van Pelt Sports Center edition, or I'm probably like falling asleep with popcorn in my mouth. I might not be watching anything at midnight. My snake pick, and I love Italian food. I could probably go another round of Italian food. My snake pick is going to be a little more general. I'm going to say leftovers. Anything left over, I would eat past 9 o'clock. If we have leftovers, they will not be left over for long.
Oh,
yeah, I'm like that. I will do that. You've seen it. You've seen it.
It's my house. I like a good leftover for sure.
Not a bad call. That'll play, Jordan. That'll play.
I think for my final pick, I'm going to really kick it back to college. If I'm talking about favorites, right? Favorites. Doesn't have to be what I do right now. And I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm from Texas, and good chips and queso is so important to me.
Yeah. And
However, when I was in college in Rochester, I was getting whatever I could get at Wegmans. So Tostitos, hint of lime chips, and Wegmans queso. Wegmans queso.
Wow.
I would eat the whole jar of queso in one sitting.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
That sounds fire.
And that was late night, often very late night. Very, very late night.
So past midnight.
Maybe 2 o'clock.
So
pushing 2.
I have to. That's late. That's early, really. If you think about it, it's kind of early. I want to make sure we say this before we wrap here. So Francis's nickname, and you might have heard Coach Randall in Coach Randall's episode, Francis, everybody at school called him Tex. Maybe besides me. I don't think I ever really bought into that. I don't know why. Not sure. Not really sure. Have to deep dive on that, but not the point of the story. So our friends from college, all of us, if you were eating chips, like just going to town on some chips, we used to call it texing, because that's how into eating chips Francis was.
Don't text and drive, please.
It's good. Listen, if you put a bowl of chips in front of me, I'm gonna eat a million of them.
Yeah,
you're texting.
Chips and salsa, chips and queso.
It's a wrap.
I mean,
when I sit down at a restaurant, if I don't have bread or chips in front of me, to get it going, get something dipping, something.
To get 8. Why did you put it down?
There you go.
Saying.
There you go.
Saying.
All right, I have the
I will
last
eat
pick.
two
Right?
I will eat 2 baskets of chips at a Mexican food restaurant before we even order.
They might be the best thing. They might be like, oh man, it's so good. And then I want more when I have my meal because then I'm just still eating the chips while I'm eating my meal too.
Yeah.
Usually a good compliment to the meal too. But
honestly, I should have just
stuff.
went with chicken parm with my first pick. But whatever.
Regretting that.
Hindsight's 2020. My last pick. It's controversial, right? it's interesting.
Tell us about it.
It could be hated on. But I'm a cold chicken wing guy. Cold chicken.
Wow. Cold
Some people
chicken
get really
wings.
upset by that. Like, I think if you take home chicken wings, put them in the fridge, right? If you try and take them out and heat them any other way than the oven or even in the oven, like they're not as good as they once were. The best way to capture how they were when you had them at the restaurant or the bar or wherever, you got to be cold. Just eat them cold.
I fully agree with this. I am in full agreement. I will eat. There are certain things you have to eat cold because they will not taste as good when they are warm. I totally agree.
100%.
Warmed up leftover.
I'm on board with cold pizza. I just don't know about chicken wings though.
No,
I feel like if you put them in the microwave, they're like soggy. They're a little and like toaster oven, you can try and get them back to that original consistency. You can't. And like I feel like the cold chicken wings, some people are like, no, you're crazy. For me,
I fully support this. I fully support this.
That's why you're my guy, Jordy. That's why you're my guy. Perfect. Listen, we get crazy on this show. We get a little out there. Everybody's got their own thing. All right.
We don't
might have a couple of chips after this.
We don't get soggy.
Nah, no, not a soggy podcast.
Not a soggy podcast. Well, fellas, another good snake in the draft. I always love talking to you about some fun stuff and getting into it again. Another great pod with Brian. And listen, I'm excited to do this again next week as well.
Hey, can we talk about one thing real quick?
Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Syracuse over Virginia.
Oh,
so boy.
Cut the show.
That's it. We just wanted to say it. Syracuse over Virginia. That's it. Goodbye.